Wahab Fàrouk is back with facts again. Na wato ensemble amane President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo and afei so no Ecowas. Na ensemble bi so ekoma Nigeria President Tinubu. Me pesa obeka me hone yakotie ensema Wahab Fàrouk edituja. Eha Sky Ghana TV. The political news na ensema hodo etwagu ewo Ghana any at the bro. Say we subscribe to channel na click the notification bell no so. I know watch video no ama no pebia tie so ensa akabe yetie ensa ma Wahab Fàrouk edetuja.
We know where we stand now, or we know the latest developments on the Nigerian issue as we sit here. ECOWAS's directive has not been heeded to by Niger, and we see conflicts still brewing in Niger. We haven't been able to achieve our goal. When I say we, I'm talking about the regional bloc, the Economic Community of West African States. Where are we currently?
Okay, so first of all, you spoke about the regional bloc called the Ecowas. So I would also start with the Ecowas. Whether or not there is an existence of a bloc on the West African belt called Ecowas, the answer is yes on paper.
On paper?
Yes, of course.
In practicality, ECOWAS doesn't exist?
I don't think ECOWAS exists. Because ECOWAS is older than European Union. Mm. The founding fathers, the founding members, the 6 countries that formed the European Union way back in 1957 were just only 6 countries. But that wasn't a union of Europe, it was co-minus union, which made up of Germany, right? Mm-hmm. Made up of France, Italy, and then the 3 Luxembourg, the 3 Benelux, Holland, Belgium, and then Luxembourg. Until 1993, there wasn't any activity in Europe. 1993, that marked the Maastricht Charter, and all Europeans started to come on board. Look at the speed in 93 up to today, and the success story of the European Union. ECOWAS, for your information, is far older than European Union. Whereas European Union, I would say that they were born or properly born in 1993. ECOWAS was born in 1975. So as the African Union, 1973 as OAU, and then 2002 as AU. Look at the gap and look at the time. So I'm asking you, is that the union that has the power? Is that the union that you and I subscribe to as ECOWAS member states? In any case, the founding members of the ECOWAS, some have left. We haven't asked questions why. ECOWAS means what? These are economic community of member states of the western of Africa. But we don't have only 15 countries on the ECOWAS belt. We have as many as 19. Cameroon in itself was part of ECOWAS.
But Cameroon is an observer now.
Yes, Cameroon is an observer. Even I don't think they observe anything, they don't. Cameroon was part. Chad was part. Comoros supposed to be part. Sao Tome and Principe supposed to be part. And what happened to St. Helena? The Ascension, what happened to St. Helena? Is it not part of West Africa? Maybe some of you are young, you wouldn't know what St. Helena is. There's a West African country called St. Helena. It was supposed to be part of the ECOWAS. Where are they? So it's not only the 15, the Ghana, the Benin, the Niger, the Nigeria, as we know, on that belt, on the northern side, Burkina, Mali, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, are you getting me? And then you go, Guinea-Equatorial was part. Are you getting me? Then you come to Liberia, Sierra Leone, and then Gambia. This is not the only ECOWAS. It's left with 15. And the question is, why 15? Whereas even if not anything at all, their first one of their founding member, Mauritania, went off. Mauritania went as a member, a founding member, and accused ECOWAS of what?
Its policies?
Its policies on free entry, free traveling, free visa for ECOWAS member countries. That if Mauritania should need a visa to come to Ghana, what is the point of the membership? So if you could not do this, you can't ask democratic policies, whereas they found out that to some countries their democratic policies are accepted by the ECOWAS, some it is not accepted. And this is the same situation we face here. And for that matter, I said, and I'm saying that ECOWAS is, yes, written on paper. But if you ask me, or any diplomat, or any of the members who have been, let me call it presidents, who have had the chance to lead the ECOWAS, and the secretary generals who have had the chance to lead the ECOWAS at the level of the secretariat or secretariat, let anybody of them tell me that let's bring out, since the inception of the ECOWAS, how many of their charters have been signed by members? How many of them? If you have an organization, you have a charter.
Right.
You have a pact. You have an agreement.
A blueprint.
Yes, blueprint and then protocols. Can ECOWAS look at us and tell members, we, citizenry of the ECOWAS belt, that we have the ECOWAS, all the charters agreed, all the charters that they've sat on it, agreed. Foreign ministers of the ECOWAS have sat down. Parliament of ECOWAS, presidents or head of states of ECOWAS. Which one of them that we can say we are validating? Importantly of them, for instance, all the barriers are across the ECOWAS. My mother, your mother goes to Togo to buy something from Benin, for instance, Benin Republic.
Trade exchanges between these
Trade exchange,
yes.
bilateral, etc. Take from Lakoji border of the Benin Togo, or take from the Nigeria Badagry up to Accra. You have not less than about 55 stops within Ghana alone, from Aflao up to Tema. Within Togo, from Lomé up to Lakoji. From Lakoji up to Badagry. What about going to the north of Benin to hit the belts and enter the Sahara side? What about Burkina Faso through Paga or through Bolga or through Boko? How many? And then also going to the West African belt proper, also to Mali, and then subsequently to Senegal. This is a region that we should not even be bothered too much, if it were to be in the case of Europe, about even getting flight. The most expensive region to travel by air is ECOWAS, West Africa. Whereas we could have a bus that should just only transit you through. But people, yourself, myself, and people over here will not be encouraged to go with it because of the stop. And then you pay every frontier. ECOWAS members, presidents, is it not part of the agreement that the Europeans remove their borders? The answer is yes. Is that not the part where Europeans said that let's freeze the customs, let's open the frontier? You've been to Europe of late. I'm monitoring you. Did you see any barriers? Did you see any European getting to the point?
No.
A barrier Belgian border,
No.
and you have to come out and go and join the queue,
No.
and then immigration officer will collect your passport and sit down with it. Is that what you're talking about? So what is the ECOWAS meant? Now, I give you a very simple analysis. ECOWAS was supposed to do three things. One of them is economy. One of them is the social, and the other one is political. So let's take it one of the social will deal with the tribal settings, with the ethnic background, because it's only colonies or colonial masters that have set up the boundaries. But then on every frontier or any ECOWAS border, the people are here, they are the same. If you go to Benin, the Beninois, the border of Nigeria, they were Yorubas. You understand? The Ifan region, all of them are Yorubas. But they are in Benin side because of border. Let's leave it aside. So how does my family live here and I live there, and I cannot even, unless I hold passport or I hold this? It has come to be the case of ECOWAS. Now the social aspect, that is the ethnic and the tribal integration, it has not worked out with the ECOWAS. And that is the key element, because government to government, you're talking about the presidency, you're talking about the administration. What about we? This is a group of small people managing a country, but the citizenry that's supposed to see Nigerian as a Ghanaian, Ghanaian as a Nigerian, is that a bite? No, we don't have that one.
People to people relation.
People to people. So that aspect, which is the most highest and biggest ingredient that all blocks in the international community, especially the emphasis by the Europeans, that even though we have a different language, different tribal settings, different economic background, different colonial background, still they've managed to put themselves together
because
as
there's a
one.
common
There is
interest.
a common interest of one understanding of a certain social grounds, and they've done and they succeeded. But we had this protocol drafted before the Europeans. It never worked. So leave the social aspect of it. Then let's come back to economic. Ghana, in a reference case scenario, about a year ago or 6 months ago, was trotting all over the world, asking European leaders, asking world leaders, asking the Japanese, asking the Americans, asking ambassadors of this country. You've had interview and you knew some of these things, telling them to mediate on behalf of Ghana to have a 3 billion, just 3 billion, are you getting me? Money, bond, whatever that you call it, facility from where? IMF, International Monetary Fund.
$3 billion.
$3 billion. And you have a block that Ghana is a founding member since 1975. That May 1975, they say May 1963, so they chose May to May because we were the leaders. So if I should continue, then I'm asking. So ECOWAS members left with only 15 countries. So their budget, the ECOWAS hasn't got money sitting anywhere to support economically a member nation called Ghana that is crying all over, to the extent of German visiting ministers. Ghana cried before them. Ghana cried before the international platform. Ghana cried in China. Ghana cried everywhere that we entered 6-7 months a year ago. Whereas the destiny of Ghana was hanging on the neck of that IMF 3 billion. So Hetty, tell me, what community, what kind of association, what kind of organization exists that is called Ecowas that they could not see and hear the cry of Ghana? And Ghana has to go and take a $3 billion facility from IMF, with particularly, we know the sanction, the conditions attached to it affects you, affects me, affects everybody. Is that the Ecowas? So now tell me, so Ecowas hasn't got a fund that they can support economically a member state, if it exists as you think it does. So Ghana has to go to IMF. Nigeria couldn't grant Ghana 3 billion. La Côte d'Ivoire, they couldn't grant Ghana 3 billion.
None of the member states.
None of the member states. So I'm also putting a question across that all the presidents that have come to pass, all the diplomats of the sub-region, including the general secretaries, fantastic diplomats who have held positions with ECOWAS, can any of them tell me whether or not Togo owes Ghana 1 cent? Whether Ghana has ever given $20 to La Côte d'Ivoire as a loan or facility to help? Whether or not Nigeria, with all their money, have they been able to support any country in the sub-region? Has Nigeria given money to Sierra Leone as loan? No. Has Nigeria supported Gambia? No. Has Nigeria given money to Senegal? No. Has Senegal given money to Gambia? No. Has Gambia given money to Mali? No. Does Mali owe Burkina? No. Does Burkina do? Nothing. So what? Tell me the economic aspect. So the typical example of it is the fact that when Europe had economic recessions in 2015 and there was economic crunch, there was a breakdown. It took which country? Republic of Germany, to take Greece from being auctioned, quote unquote. And if I mean auctioned, the country was down. And in the case of, let's say, losing property or mortgage, it would have been auctioned as a country. Germany held them up. We won't let you fall because of what? One common economic interest. So the charter is working. They held them, and now Greece, they are bounced, they are back. Their tourism alone attracts money to pay off the debt of Germany and for that of European Union. Tell me which ECOWAS member country, diplomats, they should tell me, president, they should tell me that have done that. And now let's talk about politics. ECOWAS hasn't got any political charter. They play games with that political charter, write it and refer, and go and ask His Excellency Zuma and ask Bola Ahmed Tinubu, His Excellency the President of Nigeria today, will come there, that they should tell us how the state and the correct proper charter, the protocols, how does it talk about ECOWAS, that the membership have agreed, quote unquote, that a certain democratic dispensation that they are preaching about, that democratic dispensation stipulates the fact that the member states should have 2 terms and no return, or the member states should have a certain stipulated tenure of office, 2 years, 4 years mandate, 2 years, that is 2 years, no, 2 term, no return. So 448. Do we have that one? No. We have certain individualistic political agenda, i.e. tenure of office. So where is the political aspect of the Ecowas? We are not in the social, which is the tribal, ethnic, etc. We are not in the economic assistance to each other. And then the politics. Now let's go into the politics. That has brought Madam Head to you, to my office here. Ecowas politics. My first question is that His Excellency Ahmed Bola Tinubu, we have 15 countries on the sub-region, was voted into power in the Republic of the Ecowas mighty giant, Nigeria.
As a chair.
Yes, as a chair. He was sworn in 41 days. That is 1 month, 11 days. Then Ecowas sat down cleverly, using their political charter, to appoint Bola Tinubu, His Excellency, aka Jagaban, to be the Ecowas chair, the president, the chairman of the Ecowas. At that time, I would say, if they are diplomats and presidents who understand what they were doing, the person didn't have a cabinet. He didn't have a foreign minister. I'm saying, quote me. He did not have a foreign minister at the time Ecowas made him Ecowas chairman. So my view, my simple question, if even you're a Nigerian president and you are going out of diplomacy, you join a bloc, you cannot even just go and sit on the block and talk without consulting the Nigerian side of it. And for that matter, without consulting your foreign minister and your cabinet. That I'm made the chairman, I'm going to speak to this subject. How does it system works? He has not been a former president, neither was he a president before. The fact that he's been voted into president does not make him to understand diplomacy. I'm sorry, with all due respect. The people who are supposed to teach him or direct him must be people who have instructions of state, cabinet signature, that they can advise him on X, Y, Z. So who was his foreign minister that you people made him the Ecowas chair? So he got up and he started talking big, which I agree, because the country is big. But he didn't understand, maybe to some extent, quote unquote, with all due respect, what maybe he might have done or he was doing. Because you needed to even know anything at all. Your foreign minister to test the grounds and see what is happening. Let him hear out. Let him just come and inform you. This is where we are going. The former foreign minister used by Buhari, you could have contacted him, or they could have consulted him. Or what is the situation? And I'm saying that in short, it was needless for Ecowas to appoint His Excellency Tinubu, because he was already overburdened with the issue of now finding grounds of who will be his cabinet members. That is one. Two, his presidency had been contested by other interested parties, i.e. P2B and then Atiku. Now, about a month ago, he himself, unquote, says that if the Supreme Court, for whichever reason, should even recall or the election has to be rerun, he sees that P2B does not qualify. They should deactivate and devalidate P2B as a member or presidential candidate, and it should be a contest between him and Atiku. There is a more clear acknowledgement that there is a foreseen or there is an incoming maybe pressure that nobody knows. So how do you appoint somebody whose presidency is not even properly constructed? Because the verdict of the Supreme Court of Nigeria is pending, coming in 2-3 weeks. So I assume it, quote unquote, His Excellency Tinubu has asked Ecowas as a chairman that he's going to push pressure on Niger, he's going to fight. And he puts Ecowas into fight. The election petition goes against him. And Atiku or whoever comes is not in agreement. So Ecowas are sent to a frontier and we are hanged with the lives of military men. Is that what we are saying that? Is that what we are thinking? So the presidency of Nigeria, yes, by law, election declared by electoral commissioner, independent. He says that Tinubu won, so they have to swear him in. But the same Supreme Court judge who swore him in, the Chief Justice who swore him in, the same Chief Justice will be the person either to swear another person in or the other case the other way around. So in effect, Ecowas. So somebody like Patrice Talon of Benin, has he been a member, a president of Ecowas? Answer is no. So what about the 15? Couldn't we have any of them appointed any of the existing presidents who is already a member for him to hold forth for the organization instead of somebody who was going through teething stages of his governance? And as we speak, he has now appointed his ministers who are yet to be vetted. As we speak, yesterday, day before yesterday, week before, Akpabio, who is the Senate President of Nigeria, has put the Nigerian Senate on vacation. They are going on holidays. Have you heard this?
Recession.
Yes, they are going on they say vacation. And they share good money. It is not my issue. That is the system. If that is the constitution of Nigeria, that's fine. But they are going to Senate. The president cannot take Nigerian military out. The military is not for ECOWAS. The military is Republic of Nigeria. The Senate have gone. They are the only people who can validate and approve and disapprove. Nigeria army going to war. And he's now giving 1 week ultimatum. The Nigerian summit is on, the Senate is on holidays, on vacation. So where is Ahmed Bola Tinubu? His 1 week. So you are talking about the Niger did not allow them. I would have told you, Niger, that open the borders and let's see who that comes. And tell me where the ECOWAS belt, where we have a standby military force of ECOWAS since 1975.
There is no standby,
They
but they
cannot
were
be.
willing to mobilize.
How do you mobilize, my beautiful girl? How do you mobilize? You mobilize with funds. You go to war. Ghana couldn't get 3 billion from ECOWAS.
That is why international partners have pledged.
Listen to me. International partners, they pledge with their interests. We will come there. We don't worship international partners. We are allies. We are friends. They don't determine and dictate because they have also their interests. If international partners are the people determine the will of the ECOWAS, then we must as well ground, because we can use the ECOWAS as a block and go and petition the European Union that we want to be part. I would have pushed that agenda if I were to be Ahmed Bola Tinubu. I would have been if I were to be Nana His Excellency Addo Akufo-Addo. And when he assumed the role of presidency, I would have asked the European Union that ECOWAS as a block will. Nothing stops European Union, regardless of our geographical position. We could have been a member of the European Union, our application. Because Morocco has applied to be an ECOWAS member till today. We have not granted them. So you can cross carpet and join an organization. It has happened in other parties. So now, politically, what does the Cote d'Ivoire Constitution says? ECOWAS is here regarding the tenure of office. 5 years, 5 years, deux mandats, 2 mandates. It was what gave birth to the fight of La Cote d'Ivoire. And I'm referring the case of Laurent Gbagbo. When he had the chance to rule Cote d'Ivoire 10 years, ending his time. And then Laurent Gbagbo tried to screw up the constitution and go the third term. Sparkling the argument of Soron Guillaume, said that will not agree. Dividing La Cote d'Ivoire almost 6 years before Laurent Gbagbo's tenure ended, from Boaké to Danani, divided it and fought with the assistance with Blaise Compaoré for them to be no, we will not allow you. What happened after the elections? When there was a tie break, when there was they had to do rerun. What happened? Laurent Gbagbo didn't want even to. So he created state of emergency because he wanted to stay in power and go the third term. What did we see? There was a fight.
Right, it was protested.
It was strongly protested. Leading the France and other allies or the rebels being able to descend down. General Watao, Bakayoko, Ibe, Koulibaly and all of them descending from the north up to the south to fight and made it possible that they removed Laurent Gbagbo, which was the law protecting the constitution of La Cote d'Ivoire for 2 terms mandate. Bingo. Is that not the case? Now His Excellency Alassane Ouattara had come to power. In my view, the old man within these 10 years, the job that he has done on the continent, I must say that yes, he's really worked. Not that withstanding, Alassane Ouattara end of 10 years, 2 terms has ended. But a year before, his party, APDCA. Then there was a constitutional changes. Meanwhile, Soron Guillaume happens to be the Speaker of National Assembly. What does it mean? He's the number 2 of the country, and he was a party member of His Excellency Alassane Ouattara. So what it means is that when his time was up, everybody expected that Soron Guillaume would have been the person to succeed. We didn't see it like that. Soron Guillaume was sent to represent La Côte d'Ivoire, and he went out of the country. Incidentally, surprisingly, there was a coup plot hanged on his neck. He's in exile. He made it possible for His Excellency Alassane Ouattara to be a president of La Côte d'Ivoire. He's in exile. So Soron Guillaume, who pushed Laurent Gbagbo out to jail, he is now also in the same Belgium, in exile. Beautiful West Africa and Ecowas. Ecowas was silent on the subject. His own party, he could have used a presidential candidate either than he, Alassane Ouattara, because Bakayoko was his defense. He was there. Prime Minister Coulibaly was there. What did we see? Prime Minister Coulibaly died. Bakayoko died. Defense guy, how do you call it? Watao, he died. So the law, as we constitutionally, ECOWAS says by, and we saw that Côte d'Ivoire law had changed, that you can't use MPP to go 3 terms. You can't use NDC to go 3 terms. But you can use MPP in the case of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, ending his term tenure in 2024. Now he can switch from MPP and go and join PCP and contest the third term. And that is what brought His Excellency Alassane Ouattara to power. And then he's swearing in every ECOWAS member country went there to hail, and then this because he has worked, that's okay. But the problem of Côte d'Ivoire is brewing, because we don't know post Alassane Ouattara's third term. Is he going to go for life? Is that not what he kicked against Laurent Gbagbo? But why is he? He's already in power, 3rd term. Was that the first one? We didn't hear any communique, we didn't hear any military. That's a coup d'etat, also with a pen, naturally. And that is worse than the military ones. Because the military coup d'etat we are talking about, none of them has killed a fowl, not even a chicken baby. So coup d'etat with a pen is dangerous more than what we see with the military front. So His Excellency Alassane Ouattara has changed the constitution. It was accepted by ECOWAS. Nobody complained. He's going on the 3rd term. Laurent Gbagbo went on the 2nd term. He was not allowed. You're talking about international partners. France is the international ally. They were part of the fight against Laurent Gbagbo. They were part when Alassane Ouattara was sworn into the 3rd term. Which country? We are talking about Guinea, Conakry. They've had a country with a history. The history is that it was the first ECOWAS sub-member, member state that got their independence since 1958 after Ghana. And naturally, France did not even grant them an independence because they refused to join the French Confederation or referendum of the ECOWAS member French countries in West Africa. They refused to join, and the French allowed them, okay, go. So in effect, it was a country that was under France, but it was country, I would say, that France naturally did not give them their constitution and then gave them time to go. No, they were so disobedient and strikingly against the French system, and then French allowed them. That is why they got their independence in 1958. So the first rebel, the first military, the first militancy was from Amadou Sékou Touré. So Sékou Touré was the first person who forced the French and then took up his own independence. What did we see? The French got heated. So in the year 1960, when there was a stimulation, French, out of anger, gave independence to all the ECOWAS member states, 11 of them. 1 month, 2 months after the another. Togo, April 1960. Then you go to Benin, July 1960. You come to Mali, September 1960. In that order, or the 1 year, he used 1 year to give all of them independence. Take your troubles and go, because of certain Guinea. So ask me, how and why the French ECOWAS, West Africa, 11 countries, all using CFA, why is Guinea not part? Now the constitution of Guinea, in perspective, I've talked about how His Excellency Alassane Ouattara had breached, even though, regardless of his best performance, I would say that best performance of his age and what he's done, the developmental infrastructure and economic in La Côte d'Ivoire. Nevertheless, democracy must be respected. So it brings you back to the Mauritania session that some countries are allowed to do others under the Ecowas, some are not allowed. So when Secretary for 25 years ruled, and then after his death, and then came Louis Lassana, only 8 days, and then Louis Lassana Conte came and did the same 25 years and died, and Musa also came. Musa Traore. So,
Mr. Al-Wahab, are you saying that ECOWAS is hypocritical with its actions?
By the time I finish with my analysis, you would understand, not you to judge, not me, the West African citizen, the youth standing here, they will judge. So, leading up to Doumbouya is what I'm talking about. On records, and quote me, and quote ECOWAS members that who knows. Alpha Condé, who was deposed by Doumbouya, was the only democratic and the first democratically elected president of the Republic of Guinea since independence in 1960. During the time that Lassana Conte did 25 years, and then Secretary did 25 years, and Lassana Conte was when he went into exile in Côte d'Ivoire, and he was a Côte d'Ivoire cocoa merchant. He was a broker for Côte d'Ivoire in the cocoa selling. So he was based solely in Abidjan. And he was the one, like Olympia was living in Ghana, forcing the system that we can't be military. We cannot be military. So when Sekuba came, Konate, he ruled only for 1 year. Musa Traore ruled only for 1 year. So Sekuba said that no, we have a Democrat who is outside. Let us bring him. Alpha Condé came and the election was a soft touch. When he came, he said that no, even our era, our tenure of 6 years a mandate is too long. Democratically, let's make it 5 years. Hey, they all jubilated. So 2015, 2010 he came. He won. 2015 he won. It ends up in 2010. What did we see? Alpha Condé got up and he said that we have to do a constitutional reforms because he has majority in opposition. Before you and I got to know, Alpha Condé has what? He has changed. 2020, he changed the constitution. 2 terms that he himself propagated, that he pushed the agenda, that the whole world should see him as an ally, the whole world should see him as a Democrat. When he finished his 10 years, 2015, he went in for election, 2020, and then also won. Where was Doumbouya? Doumbouya, a young man of his age. When did he join the army of Guinea? Who made him a colonel? It is Alpha Condé. And interestingly, where is ECOWAS? That all the French-speaking countries, all of them, the presidency are built around themselves, what is called special forces. And the special forces does not respond to the army. They don't report to the army. So Doumbouya, even though a Guinean army, quote me and ask our brothers and sisters of the French, that why would France take Doumbouya to Afghanistan to go and fight as French legionnaire, whereas he was a Guinean army? What happened? Because a certain Alpha Condé took him to go and train. And then he came and took over. The coup d'etat in Guinea, nobody saw any bloodshed. And it was not the military that overthrew him or that staged the coup. It was the special forces that they took him off. Because he told the father, who is his uncle more or less from one town, that look, the military is angry. Because during the 3rd term, which the opposition were crying, they have political prisoners that he, Alpha Condé, arrested and kept them. So there was a heat. So he and the boy Doumbouya had told the president that there's a heat. So there's a possibility that they might overthrow you. So let me take power. That is what happened. Today, what happened to Alpha Condé? When Alpha Condé was overthrown, what did we see? Periase had also declaration. Ministers led by Madam Ayokobochi, you were here. All of them, they went there. Doumbouya met them. After that, Alassane Ouattara and Coup. But Alassane Ouattara broke the constitution before going to talk about Doumbouya. So Doumbouya referred him that why would you go the 3rd time in La Côte d'Ivoire and you are coming here? I'll take him out of power because he has abused the constitution. Going on the 3rd term. He took him and the old man And at that time, I jokingly would say that when the Ecowas were making noise, Alpha Conde was giving his couscous, he was eating all right. He was getting his medical attention all right. Today, coach me, Alpha Conde, he's a statesman, he's not in exile. He goes to Guinea in and out. They send him out. He went to Saudi Arabia, they bought a house for him. They bought a house for him in Dubai. And he showed those people Doumbouya would arrest from his government. Do you call that a military coup? Do you call that a military coup? It was coup made by special forces, a handover.